Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rockin' H Wood Shop. Glad you stuck with us because this week we found another Pinterest thing that my wife really likes, and that is a chalk paint menu board. If any of you guys plan your meals during the week, which we just recently started doing, this is something that's for you. So don't go anywhere. We'll build this all from scratch right now. Alright, we're just going to get started by cutting down the bead board that we're going to use for the center of the frame. You have to accommodate 7 slots of beadboard to accommodate 7 days out of the week. And then just a little extra on top and bottom for the rabbet of the frame. Now that that's cut to size, we're just going to set it aside and come back to it later. We're going to make a frame from scratch, and it's going to have a decorative inlay and some raised areas with different kinds of profiles, and we're only going to use 2 different bits, and I'll show you how to do that. But before we do anything on the router, these 2 pieces of poplar that I have that we're going to use to make the frame, I've got to square up both sides. So one of these has already been jointed. I'm going to run it through the table saw to fix the other side. Okay, now that our boards are jointed, we're going to move over here to the router table section of my table saw. And I've put in here a 1/4 inch roundover bit and raised it up high enough that there is a ridge that's going to be created just past the roundover. So we're going to run these boards on edge, on their face, with the edge up against the router bit, keeping up against that ball bearing, and we're going to run it on both sides. So when we run it through, we're going to flip it over and do the other side. And now we've just cut it off at end of the board, so this is our inlay strip. So we're going to go ahead and cut what's left of the wood down to the appropriate size. Now before we change bits, we're going to take all of these sections and run them through the roundover bit on both sides. Only on one side of the face though, not the other. I have changed bits now to a 1/2 inch wide mortising bit. And what we're going to do first is plow out the edge right here for the rabbet inside the frame. Okay, now in order to accommodate the raised molding that we made earlier, we have to make a groove that goes along the length of the board. And in order to do that, we're going to stay with the same bit that we were using to make the rabbet, and we'll flip the face of this over and then run it through in 2 different passes because this bit is narrower than that molding. So we'll have to do it in stages, which is why it is always advisable to do this particular part with a 3/4 inch bit, because this was 3/4 of an inch thick. Get a good look at the profile I've got now. I've got 2 roundovers on the ends, a rabbet right here, and then a groove to accept the molding. Now that we've got everything cut, routed, and ready to install, we're just going to glue them in place. If there's one thing that I learned on this project is that chalkboard spray paint really isn't my favorite. If you have the opportunity to find any in a can that you can put into a sprayer that will make it a lot more flat or roll on, I would highly recommend that. I'm not too fond of the spray. I had to actually redo the beadboard panel that I originally made because when I went to spray it on, it came up very clumpy and very bumpy, and even sanding didn't take it off. Well, if this project was fun for you guys as it was me, be sure and like my video, and don't forget subscribe to my YouTube and Blip and iTunes channels depending on what you want to do. You can also find me on Facebook. Just search Rockin' H Woodshop there and be sure and like that page. You can keep up on all of my projects through there as well. You can also find me on Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram and Google Plus, and I don't know, there's a whole bunch. So I try and update my photos on Instagram and Pinterest as often as I can. Sometimes I do fall behind. And my website will be done fairly shortly, so bear with me on that. I'm trying to do it all myself as well as do these videos on a weekly basis, and I tend to fall behind a little bit. So next week, for all you guys that are been keeping up with my episodes in the past, next week I'm going to start working on my shop cabinetry build. So that'll be fairly exciting for me, and I know some of you guys have been looking forward to that. Unless something comes up to where my wife doesn't find something else on Pinterest that I gotta build, we should be able to start that next week. So until then, guys, be sure and subscribe. You'll catch new videos every week. So I'm gonna go color with my daughter. I'll talk to you guys next week.